acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, their elders past, present and emerging. This land, now known as the Central Coast, was originally traditional custodians, the Guringai, the Darkinoong and the Awabakal. I hope that everyone here tonight realises that you are now on the land of three main mobs. And I hope that you respect the wishes of the traditional custodians and you unite with them to protect their sacred lands. Thank you. I speak from the heart, so I do get a bit long-winded. Kariong means a lot to me. I'm a Darkinoong woman, born to my, how do I put this? Sorry, I'm nervous. My grandmother on my mother's side, her mother was a white woman. She was a Pete of Pete's Ridge, Pete's Wharf, George Pete's daughter, one of his daughters. She gave birth to a child here on the Central Coast that was fathered by a Darkinoong man. That's all that's in the records, because back then records weren't very good for the indigenous people. And it was a shame upon a white woman who was having a baby to an Aboriginal man. So the Central Coast means a lot to me. As was said earlier, I'm also a Yuin woman. My Yuin mob is from the South Coast, who travelled all the way up here quite often and met in the Kariong area, what we a lot of us call Bambara. I fought for a long time on the side of the road. I think it was 89 days, was it, Jake? We camped on the side of the road there to protect what is now known as the sacred lands. On these lands there are many sacred sites. On the area where the Land Council, and I apologise, I won't say the name of the Land Council because I'm running as an independent and I'm running with the blessings of the Indigenous Party of Australia. So, and they've requested that I don't specifically say the Land Council's name. We fought on the side of that road for 89 days with no help from that Land Council. They didn't want us to achieve a win in that area, which is very strange considering there's a lot of Indigenous sites there. Later on, I found out that the reason they did not help any of us to stop the sell-off and development of that parcel of land was because they had intentions of developing another section of land, which is what we're here tonight to talk about. This Land Council turned around and took credit for us winning Bambara and stopping it from being developed and being put into the national park. They didn't like that. The Land Council, as has already been said, is not a people. The original traditional custodians and caretakers of what you now know as the Central Coast, there are three main mobs: the Guringai, the Darkinoong and the Awabakal. This land means a lot to us. That area there is what we called an area where we would have our corroborees. With a corroboree, we had people coming from different mobs all over New South Wales, south coast, out west, up north, and they would come and meet at Kariong. There, men and women would discuss issues that needed to be talked about, law, etc. And then they would break up into just men's and women's groups and go and discuss their issues. The men, which I can't talk about very much, all I can say is the men's area, which is a sacred area, is in the area where this land council wants to wipe out everything. An area of where the land council says there are no sacred sites, there are no sacred carvings. There's actually a burial site there as well of indigenous people. So we know that this land council can lie. It's been proven. They don't want to improve anything for the traditional custodians of this area. It's a sacred land. It's very important to us. But also, apart from it being a sacred land, as Lisa spoke about, it's a hanging swamps there. We knew about that. We knew about a lot of things before, excuse me for saying it, White fella came here. We knew about the importance of habitat and food. Many of you wouldn't know that where this development is proposed to go, there is wildlife, there is food there. Food for the taking, but not to be overtaken. There's the koalas. The koalas were around before White fella came. Their habitats are becoming really, really less populated because it's been taken away from them. This area that they want to bulldoze actually holds habitat for the koalas. It's one of the rare habitats on the Central Coast area. So from an Indigenous point of view, this is very, very important that this doesn't go ahead, because if this goes ahead, it will be other places right across New South Wales, not just the Central Coast, because it's a stepping stone for those land councils to be able to grab up, make big dollars for themselves, which do not go back into the Indigenous community. It only goes to a select few. I'm not on the land council. I wouldn't be accepted on the land council because they know that I will speak up against the wrongdoings. I will, if I have to, chain myself to the gates, to the trees. I've done it before up at the Pilliga, Santos with the coal seam gas, on Gomeroi land. That's something I didn't tell you people. The board is made up basically of Gomeroi Nation. And they are just walking over all of us. I can't get on that land council, but I protected land for them up in their own area, up in the Pilliga and Narrabri. But I'm a bad person because I want to protect my land, my neighbours' lands, the Guringai, my neighbours' lands, the Awabakal. I thank you people for coming and wanting to know more about what's happening. I could go on, as I said, I speak from the heart, and I can go on a lot more. We're going to have a question time. If there's anything that you want to hear from me, I'm more than happy to answer those questions. And I thank you so much for having the interest to come here tonight and hear all of our sides of the story about Kariong, and hopefully you can help us save it and protect it. It's our museum, it's Central Coast history, it's Australia history. We cannot let it be destroyed. Thank you.